Great show for you tonight. We've got some music in the house. I'm excited to widen your cultural exposure just a little bit. We have author John A. Andrews is in the house. He is the author of a series of books called Rude Boy. If you're not familiar with Jamaican culture, well, allow me to just say that this is a fantastic guy who's written some really cool books. I can't imagine it'll be a whole lot longer before they'll be made into some really cool action movies with Jaimin Hunsu or somebody appropriately dramatic and accomplished like that in the lead role. So we're going to talk about the series, learn a little bit more about John, and have a culturally expanding conversation. Welcome back. Nice start to the show. Gotta love the kids, man. Talented kids, there's just nothing that warms my heart quite like that. In any case, let's shift our focus a little bit. It's time for Literature Corner right here on Mountain View's program. We're excited to have author and I guess you could say educator as well. John A. Andrews is with us here in the studio today. We're going to talk about his Rude Boy series of books. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, Terry. It's
good to see you.
Good to be here.
Excellent. Thank you for coming. So before we get to the series, let's take the first few minutes here and tell us a little bit about your background, because you have an interesting background in terms of how you came to be a writer.
I grew up in the Caribbean, 32 islands, close to Trinidad and Barbados, island called St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And
his mic's not on, so we're gonna go.
Struggled growing up. Came from a family of 5 sisters.
Okay. You know what? Excuse me. We've got a little technical problem with our mics. We're going to go to a quick commercial. We're going to fix it. And we'll be right back, and we'll start over with John. All right. Welcome back. Take two on mic number 2 with John A. Andrews, author of the Rude Boy series. Shall we try this again?
Yes, let's do it.
I think it sounds like we've got you.
Yes.
Very good. So, I want folks to hear about your background, because I think it's a fascinating journey in and of itself. I think it almost presages your autobiography, as it were. But tell folks how you came to be an author.
I'm from the Caribbean in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and I moved to New York City and then went to Hollywood, California, and I started my acting career in New York, as a matter of fact. Took it to Cali and did some TV commercials, some movies, and then opened a modeling agency. Almost went bankruptcy with that agency after a while. And at that point, I was looking for options, and I found a 1970s classic film that I really wanted to remake. And after 3 weeks of phone calls around the country trying to find the studio who held the rights, I was told that I would not be able to get the rights to that movie. And I was torn. I asked the lady, I said, well, you have it, you're not doing anything with it. At least let me have it so I can make it better. She said, so I just told you we're not willing to give up the rights to a third party. And after hanging up the phone, I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to make my own. And someday they're going to come begging me for my work. And I got into writing right then. I had a friend who already had a screenplay optioned, and I asked him to help me put my screenplay together. And he said, John, I really want to help you, but because I have a manager, it's a conflict of interest. But he did send me some templates, how to structure a screenplay. And I studied the templates in 29 days. After working very hard, I nailed my first screenplay, and it wasn't the best thing in the world, but I was excited. A year later, I sent another screenplay to a director friend of mine who had taught me in acting school. Now, this director had worked with some top stars in Hollywood, and I was like, oh yeah, he's going to give me a good rating on it. But he sent me an email, Terry, and he said, John, what are you doing? This is the worst screenplay I have ever read. And you're such a novice. What are you doing? This is not for you. I was torn. For 7 days, I could not touch the keyboard on my computer. But I went back to it. And after a year, I sent him another screenplay, and he called me this time. He's Australian. He said, hey, mate. I said, hey, what's happening? He said, you know what? I must tell you that this is pretty good work. I said, really? He said, yeah. He said, not a lot of people know how to write action thrillers, and I would say this is pretty good. I said, thank you very much. And from then, I knew that I was going to write. I said, nobody is going to stop me from doing what I want to do. And that just kind of launched my writing career.
Well, I think it is kind of a hallmark of folks who find success in a niche that they may not have grown up in. And of course, it's always the great story, isn't it? The negative that somebody said, the first person you show it to says, it's no good. That's one person's opinion, right?
Exactly, and I've thrived most of my life on the negative. When somebody tells me no, I'm going to find a yes. I'm going to find some way to make that thing work. Tell me yes, it'll be okay. We're in the comfort. I've been in my comfort zone. But you tell me no, I'm going to go to work to show you that you don't know who you're messing with. You know?
So you wrote a screenplay first, and then went to novel.
Yes, I wrote the screenplay first, and a lot of people liked it. After writing 15 books, I decided, well, why not turn the screenplay into a novel? And it's the best thing I've done for my writing career, because that novel has taken me around the country, and now heading up to being a trilogy.
Very cool. Well, I think there is some precedent for this character and for kind of the milieu that he deals in, but by the same token, it's been kind of a long time since we've had a Jamaican hero and somebody that in a lot of ways isn't as present in front of the camera or in the pages, and yet is just an attractive character. People really connect with it. So if you would tell folks about Rude Boy and kind of set the stage for the novels.
Growing up, one of my favorite movies is The Harder They Come with Jimmy Cliff. I love that movie. Up to a couple of days ago, I was watching it. And when I decided to create the character Rude Boy, I thought about what would I want this character to be like. Would I want him to be a James Bondish? Would I want him to be more than a James Bond? What would I want him to be like? And growing up as a kid, I wanted to be involved in law enforcement. And it didn't happen because I saw too much corruption in our local police force. But for some reason, what you ask for, you get. And when I decided to write this action thriller, I decided to cement it in the law enforcement genre. And I wanted it to be a Jamaican character who is like macho, who is the guy you don't mess with, who's the guy, this guy is going to conquer. You don't want to mess with him. And in Jamaica, you know, they have a Rude Boy is somebody who you don't mess with. Right. So I want my DEA, my drug enforcement agent, to be the type of character who you don't mess with. So I coined him Rude Boy, and I just make him very dimensional. I mean, a lot of facets to him. I build him up, create a nice arc for him, and make him a really strong character that could be an international type.
Interesting how this kind of character is so compelling for people that he's got a tough guy aspect to him where they always say thin line, right? A thin line between a criminal and a police officer.
Yes.
In a lot of ways, the only thing that makes a DEA agent or a police officer is the choice to not do the criminal things, and yet understanding that criminal aspect and the way criminals think and that sort of thing. Was that something that was there from the start, kind of that dichotomy in this character?
Very much, very much. I wanted him to be a notch above the rest. I've watched a lot of movies, and at a point when I got into to writing, I studied movies, and you know, I saw a lot of characters, and I looked at how these characters could be better. And when I decided to create a Rude Boy, I want him to be a notch above the rest. I want him to be the type of character who, like, okay, he's a drug enforcement agent, but you know, he has integrity. He's poignant. He has a lot of things going for him, but he stands out. That was the type of character I wanted for Rude Boy.
And speaking of the arc, since we're 2 books in, a third to come in the trilogy, can you talk in general terms without giving anything away? Obviously, the 3rd book isn't out yet, but kind of talk about what the big arc for the character is, whether it be change or ascension just to a higher level, or those kinds of things that you've thought about from the beginning.
Rude Boy is going to continue to grow as a character. There's a lot of longevity to him, and he has roots in martial arts. He has roots as the guy, like a thug on the street, the guy you don't want to mess with. He is well put together. And as I moved from 1, I went into 2, and I built him as a stronger character. And as we go into 3, he's going to be just unbreakable. He's going to be the type of drug enforcement agent who you can't mess with, you can't put the guy down. No matter how strong the drug cartel is, he's going to find some way to rise above it. And that's why I've coined the next one, Shatterproof. I don't know if I should give that out, but Shatterproof,
okay.
you know, he's unbreakable.
Well, we appreciate you giving
Yes.
us a little exclusive here on Mountain Views, Shatterproof.
Yes, sir.
So, film development, are you working on film with this character now? Where are you at?
We're currently in development right now with the first book and the second book, The Unstoppable and the Untouchable, and it's going really well. We're looking for a lead character who can carry the series, and that's very important. There are a lot of actors out there, but we want somebody who can carry the series.
So, what are your thoughts on trying to attract somebody who is already a high profile? It just came to mind, I threw it out, what I said, Jaimin Hunsu. I don't know, maybe he's a little old, but what are your thoughts on a name actor versus getting somebody that doesn't have kind of the prior awareness with film goers, but is simply a strong actor for this character? Do you have a preference?
Well, you know, I don't want to throw names out there, but I love Denzel. He's just one of my greatest actors, I've ever seen. I would like somebody who's younger, a little younger, who's got that kind of tenacity, who's like, okay, I'm going to be the next actor. I'm going to make it happen. That is the kind of person we're looking for this, because I believe that we've got an amazing project which can grow and become better, and as a character with longevity. And so we're looking for somebody who can really carry this. So they got to be willing to step up to the plate.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, I have to imagine that in the casting process, that when an actor gets a hold of this character, there has to be a lot of excitement from, I would think, just about everybody who would read for the part, simply because, as they say, there's a lot of fun to be had in the action part, but also it sounds like the complexity of the character is something that someone who considers themselves a very serious actor can really get attached to as well.
Yes, it's a meaty role. It's very meaty, and I believe that the actor who grabs hold of it, it will do a lot. Will do a lot for their career in the long term.
Well, best wishes. Obviously, book number 3 is underway, so you don't need any good luck for that one. You got that down, but I know that the development process, getting a film to screen, is going to take that same tenacity that you had to show in the beginning to establish yourself as a writer. So I'm sure that'll stand you in very good stead. But nevertheless, best wishes for getting through that process. I would love to see this character on screen, and it would certainly be a thrill to be able to say that I've chatted with the author, the guy who brought the Rude Boy to life. And you got some more signings coming up around here in the Salt Lake area. Tell folks where they can come and meet you in person, get your autograph, and get copies of the books.
This coming Saturday at Dolly's, right here in Park City at 2 p.m. We're doing a signing there. And next week, the 17th and the 18th, will be at the Sugar House Barnes & Noble. And that's going to be an amazing signing, 2 days back-to-back. So
Very
looking
cool.
forward to it.
And where can folks find out more about the series and about you online?
You can go to johnandrews.com, johnandrews.com, and you'll find a lot of things there about me, about the series, and get attached to the Rude Boy trilogy. And
I think it's fair to say, and important to say, that, as you had mentioned very briefly in a very humble way, but there's a ton of other writing that you've done, books on other subjects, and I think that folks would be fascinated to, like the Rude Boy, find out kind of the complexity of your character and how you have insight on a lot of different topics, and not just the fiction action genre. So get folks to go to johnandrews.com and turn out for the 2 p.m. signing at Dolly's. That'll be fantastic. Yes. And for folks who are out there in the audience, I just have to say that you know, we're very fortunate here at Park City Television to meet a lot of really neat people, and you know, there's a star power thing that sometimes difficult to quantify or put your finger on, but when you feel it, you know it. And John A. Andrews is a guy who you're going to hear a lot more about and has been a great deal of fun to be around and spend some time with. So make sure to get on over to Dolly's on Saturday, 2 p.m. Learn more about the Rude Boy, get your book signed, and if you're down there in Salt Lake, get over to the Barnes & Noble and Sugar House and do the same on the 17th and the 18th. John, thanks for coming on. It's a real pleasure to meet you. Best wishes for future success. I'm sure there's much more in the pipeline for you, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you very much, and thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
All right.